After tonight, there is only one more episode of the David Makes Man After Show left, and you don't want to miss special guest Logan Rozos on tonight's episode. Stay tuned.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Happy Hump Day, everybody. It is your favorite after show on a Wednesday night, the David Makes Man After Show. I'm your host, Sahai Wilson, and welcome. Tonight we will be covering episode 9, Some I Loved Who Are Dead. But first, let me introduce you to my beautiful panel. We have Zakia. Zakia books our guest. She is a publicist and a brand manager, and she's going to give us her take on everything that happens in the PJs. Hi, Zakia.
Hello, guys. So happy to be here.
Welcome back. And then Josh.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm chilling.
Josh is our resident dad. He gives us the male perspective. He's also a preacher's kid, and a stylist, if you guys didn't see from his fashion. And I am your host, Sahai Wilson. Thank you for having me. I'm a producer, and I like to give you the behind-the-scenes takes on what's really going on with your favorite shows. But first, we're going to start with our special guest. You may know him as Star, and his real name is Logan Rozos. Everyone, please welcome Logan.
What's up?
Hi.
Hi. So Logan is coming to us from the East Coast, so it's late, so we won't keep you up long. But how have you been? How has your experience been, like, with all this feedback from David Makes Man and the fans?
Oh, it's been so great. The fans are they're so engaged in the characters, and they have such insightful takes on everything. And people are picking up on symbolism and character development and ideas that I didn't even realize were going on. And just seeing people really love Star, and they love what he brings to the show. And that's great for me because I love Star and I love this show. So
we love Star.
Yes, we do.
I'm not sure if you heard me say this last week, but you and Saren are out on the road together. You hit the streets, you've escaped. Now, I feel like there should be a spinoff, Star and Saren. What are your thoughts on this?
I would watch it.
Great. So Zakia also had some news and gossip that pertains to you.
I did. Hi, Logan. We're so happy to have you here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay. So we saw that you were on the cover of Times. Well, not the cover, but you were in an article of Times Magazine. How does it feel to be honored in being like a star in Hollywood right now as a transgender male? How do you feel?
Mm-hmm. To say that it's a dream come true would be an understatement to me. It's more than anything I ever thought would happen in my life. And it's so great seeing how many people have read that article in Time, which is about not just me, but about all sorts of trans men acting and being on TV. Mm-hmm. And people just responding to it and being glad that they see people who are like them, or even if they're not trans, seeing trans people being shown in their full humanity and in all sorts of different roles and getting to learn about the community. It's so great. And I mean, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Terrell and all the great people at David Makes Man. So it just makes me really grateful for them.
No, for sure. I feel like you're doing something so monumental, and you're a force behind this new generation who's now accepting and understanding. And we want to congratulate you. I'm so proud of you. I love you, and you're so cute.
Thank you.
And in person. And we also seen you were with Nate, who is Saren. So you guys are in Tampa. You met up again?
Yeah.
What happened? Where'd you guys meet?
Yeah, me and Nate we both live in New York. He lives on Long Island and I live in the Bronx.
BX in the house.
Yeah. And we're around the same age, and we look pretty similar, so we go in for a lot of the same roles. So I ran into him at an audition on Monday, and we were reading for the same role.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Oh, goodness. How is that, just reading for the same role? Was it competition, or is friendly competition?
No, it's both of our parents were there, and we were all just chatting and talking about how much we miss being in Florida and shooting the show. And we were if one of us gets it, then that was meant to be, and no one's going to be mad at anyone because no one can take something that was meant for you. What's meant to happen is going to happen.
Right.
How did you prepare for your role as Star?
it was a lot of like getting into like feelings of being like rejected or abandoned because Star has to leave his home because his family isn't accepting, and he has to learn to trust Miss Elijah and make these new friends and these new attachments with JG and David and Siren. And that's not my family's wonderful, and they're accepting, and they help me in my acting, and they accept me being transgender. And so having to get into that feeling in that mode was really how I prepared. And also, like, Star he's very wise, and he watches and he listens more than he talks, and that's not really me. I'm more of a talker, so it was sitting back and watching and listening more.
Nice. So outside of acting, what do you like to do?
I like to draw. I like to paint. I like to write. Just like anything creative. Yeah.
So, as far as your dream roles, we see the success you've had with David Makes Man, and considering the objects of the things you say you just like to do now, how would you combine those in your acting, your writing, and your creativity?
I was having dinner with Gillian Williams, who plays Siren's mother, Mrs. Kelly, on Sunday. She's a wonderful lady. Like the DMM fam, like it's real. We're so close. And she told me, like, I hate to break this to you, but you're not just an actor, you're also a writer and a director, and you got to embrace that.
Wow.
And I was like, and because Gillian is also, she's a wonderful writer and a brilliant acting teacher, and like she's a multi-talented woman. So she sort of told me, like, you don't have to ever feel like you got put in a box. You can go out there and you can express all your different passions. And
Okay, cool.
And one of the questions that I like to ask all the guests is, I mean, speaking of being around such talented people, you're around Oprah, you're around Michael B. Jordan, you're around Lucian, and all these people, these amazing creatives. What was it like to meet Oprah?
It all happened so fast. Because she visited the set while I wasn't called, so I didn't get to meet her down in Florida. I didn't meet her until the premiere. And I was at the premiere, and I was sitting there. I was eating some ceviche. And I was smoking the chocolate fountain. And Travis Coles, who plays Miss Elijah, walks up to me and is like, "We're meeting Oprah. Put down your plate. We're meeting Oprah." And I was like, "What?" And then I walk over and I'm like, "Hello, ma'am. Like, it's such an honor to meet you." And she's like, like knock it off with all the shyness, just gives me a big hug and make sure that everyone gets lots of pictures with us. And it's like, I'll make sure those pictures get to you.
Wow.
It was, really nice. And, more than you expect, because you're like, okay, she's Oprah. Like she doesn't have to give me the time of day. That's
right. Now we are on our second to last episode. Can you tell us anything about, has there been talk about season 2? Have you heard anything yet?
I can say that, the fans really like it. I've seen multiple people like on Twitter being like, I'll send letters. I'll tweet at Oprah and tell her to give her season 2. I can't tell you more than that, but I will say that there's always more ideas in Terrell McCraney's head. So
Yes.
keep a lookout.
Okay,
Yes.
great. And for anyone that hasn't seen the show yet, what would you say to them to make them watch and really get to know your character?
I would say if you want to see a show where Black people and brown people get to just be themselves fully, and they don't have to fit into a box, and they don't have to be a caricature or a stereotype, and you have trans people, and you have gay people, and you have queer people, and you have people dealing with trauma and addiction and mental illness, and it's all very honest and uncompromising. There's no other place you can see that. I can't think of any other show that's like that.
Well, thank you so
Yes,
much,
thanks,
Logan, for
Thank
being with us all the
Yeah.
way
For
from the
having me.
Bronx.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next episode, hopefully in season 2.
Yes.
Hopefully. Okay. Thank
All
you
right,
for
have a good
watching.
night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye. All right, guys. So that was our interview with Logan, who plays Star on David Makes Man. Let's get into our overall thoughts on tonight's episode.
Okay, Zakiya.
Well, everything when it came full circle, I felt like in tonight's episode, we saw a lot of truths. We saw the storm brought in some craziness. Those dinner tables and that storm brought in the worst out of everyone.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Josh, what are your
Okay.
thoughts?
I actually think the hurricane was the lesser of the storms that took place amongst all the families.
I think it was a cleansing part.
Yeah, I think the hurricane outside was the peace.
Okay.
Okay,
Like
because-
washing everything away, maybe?
No, was the peaceful part of the storm.
Right.
Because the storms that the families were getting into with Desmond and Tio Tea and Raynon, and then with David and his mother, Gloria, and her mother, I feel like those familiar storms were worse than the actual hurricane that was taking place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was saying that it's a cleansing thing, it's water. So water washes things away. But when it rains, it kind of...
Hurricane water is not that clean.
No, I'm saying, but my perspective.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Is that it just, rain, when it rains, you know how people calm down, things slow down.
That's true.
And so that's, it was stormy outside and stormy inside, but like I agree that the storm outside was a little bit calmer than what was
Yeah.
happening inside.
Yes.
So we started with this beautiful Willie Derrick, funeral scene.
Yeah.
And then we saw Willie's face at points, and then we saw young JG's face. Why do we
Yes.
think that happened?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it was foreshadowing personally.
Okay.
And I also wanted to give a shout out to whoever was the DP on this, or whoever the creative who decided to do this scene like that. Because if anyone's ever seen the movie Daughters of the Dust by Julie Dash, who wrote and directed that independent film, it reminds me of that with everybody
Okay.
in white and it being like the ceremony.
Yeah.
As
There's a
opposed to-
certain that ceremony does have a name to it, and I can't think of the name of it, but it's formatted in a way where there is choreographed dancing and mourning and things. Yeah.
But it wasn't like a regular church ceremony.
No, of course not.
What did you guys think of that scene?
I thought that was the most powerful scene that we've seen this entire episode for me. Just movement. 'Cause sometimes I feel like when we dance, we actually are explaining so much more other than rather than using our words through our body movement. So everything was just amazing at that moment. And then the transition from seeing Willie Derrick's face and JG's face, I'm like, is this foreshadowing? Or these were David's thoughts as well. So sometimes I feel like when someone dies, I don't know if anyone else has this,
Go ahead.
but when someone dies, they feel like, do you ever see yourself in that person's situation?
Okay.
Or I felt that feeling, like if someone, or you thought about someone.
Like, damn, it could have been me there?
Not
Or-
like
Oh,
not
okay.
like that, but
It makes you examine your life.
It makes you examine the people in your life and what's going on in your life, or someone who passed away previously and how you felt. And so, or was it foreshadowing? Is JG in trouble? It was a lot. I don't know, because I can't see JG going so soon. I don't want to.
Well, he
but-
finds trouble. He finds trouble wherever he goes.
Right.
He does, but JG hasn't shown me anything obsessive about his situation. Like, I haven't seen him carrying guns. I haven't seen him getting involved in the nitty gritty of selling drugs. He's more so outspoken and pugilistic. And I remember when I was 11 years old or 12, I was outspoken. I've always been outspoken. I wasn't as pugilistic, but I did not allow people to take advantage of me. So I don't see anything from JG that warrants anything major. I think what's happening is David has, he likes to protect people. So it's easy for him to see JG and Willie Derrick's shoes because of their ages and because
Yeah.
they hung out. So to me, it makes him... Go ahead.
I think honestly that's what is going to be the turning point for JG, seeing his friend die like this.
Yeah.
It'll either make him not want to use drugs, or the fact that he is so, he's talking about, this is the first time I lost somebody in the game. Like it's very natural for him. So I feel like either he's going to go one way or the other. He's going to kind of get deeper into it, because he was very comfortable in that environment at his granddaddy's house, talking to that woman as she smoked. You see what I'm saying? And he kind of finds his way into certain situations, but I don't want to wish bad on him.
Right.
But
No, of course not. Yeah.
I don't see that at all. I see that he's all talk and no bark or no bite. So I see that David is the one who's actually really heavy in this game, and
Yes.
he doesn't speak at all. So I kind of foreshadow David being the reason why if anything, hopefully that doesn't happen, that JG is hurt, because he's just a little boy who just talking a whole lot and just exaggerating his entire life.
Yes.
He's just being a kid, an annoying kid.
But then he got loud with his own grandma, cursed at her.
He's bad.
Well,
But,
he hasn't been taught the respect yet on that level.
I mean, people baby him, but the fact that his bark is getting louder. That's what I'm seeing now. His personality's changing from that little cute baby to there's more anger coming up inside him.
It's just words though. Like, he's not actually in the game. He's not actually doing any work in the game. He's not putting nothing down to he's not even
But there's a reason
it.
they put his face on that shirt, so we'll see. So I also wanted to point out the fact that other people stayed behind. We saw Shinobi stay behind, and he's seeing the dead Willie Derrick image. Like, that's difficult for him. Miss Elijah and Miss Gertrude are together, and we saw Marissa praying for Saren. So all those people, they didn't evacuate. I thought it was interesting that they stayed at their homes.
It was interesting. I did want to speak on Tare and David. So Tare's real name is
Teshi Thomas.
Teshi Thomas. First of all, I want to commend her. She's a really good actress.
And dancer.
And dancer. But I wanted to speak on something that I saw between the two of them based off the styling.
The
outfits.
The scene. Okay.
So Tare was wearing a yellow hoodie.
Okay.
And David was wearing just a striped t-shirt. In reference in love, yellow represents friendship.
Right.
And so when I saw them together, I noticed David's subconscious wanted to hold her face and embrace her, but it seemed like she looked at him more like a friend. And I think the yellow was a representation that they probably won't have a relationship as much as we felt like they wanted to. We wanted to. Now, I'm not sure if they did that on purpose, but I've styled on set for a long time, so that's why I kind of see that yellow represents friendship more than romance.
I love that scene when he held her face, because you know what it's like when you're young and you have a crush.
Right.
And it's those stolen 2 minutes where you get to interact with them that you like. But that was also a point where David got to cry in front of her. He had been so strong prior to that, and he was able to just kind of relax with her. Just like she fell into him, he was able to cry on her shoulder. Yeah. I like that.
I want to mention something too about Shinobi seeing Willie Derrick, because I felt like that was full circle, because in the past episodes we saw that Shinobi was the only person that saw David see Sky, and he didn't know that was who David was talking to.
Right.
But it's just so crazy that now he is seeing Willie Derrick. So for me, that was like one of those out of many,
full
but
circle.
that was one of those full circle moments.
Like, he was writing a whole bunch of notes on this
she
one.
was. Y'all should see it. It's big too, y'all.
But you know what? Let's give you some notes on our favorite after shows. Josh, you want to tell us about?
Yes, I do want to tell everyone about it. First, I want to say thank you all for making us the ESPN of TV talk. We are here at AfterBuzz Television, and we could not be doing these things without you present. So if you are on YouTube, if you are on iTunes, Spotify, please make sure that you give us a thumbs up, give us 5 stars. Let us know how we're doing. In the chat, I'm looking at the chat now. I see a few fans in the chat. Make sure you let us know how you think about the shows. We'll be happy to shout them out, and we'll be happy to shout you out. Thank you so much for supporting us, and keep it up.
Yes, and to shout out everyone that commented last week, we have Bayou Chic. We have Jamie Dupree. We have eBay the Ebo. Yes.
That's our friend.
I like eBay.
We have Everyday People 629.
Oh, Everyday People.
Yvonne Scott, Rio D, Aida Herbert, Phyllis Crosby. Thank you guys so much for getting deep and breaking it down in the chat.
Yes.
So back to the episode, and don't forget to stay tuned for some of our special segments. We're going to do our segment Skies High, and we're going to do our predictions. So back to the episode. We also had Tio Tea and Desmond.
Ooh, can we talk about it?
Child. Now, this is going to be up for discussion, because y'all heard one thing, and I'm like, did we? Yes. I don't know. So
you go first, Sahai.
Is this a battle? Like, dang, y'all.
No,
why y'all looking at me?
No, I want to.
It's all love here. The David Makes Man after show. Dang, we ain't in the bill.
I want to hear I want to hear your opinion.
Okay, so one of the big things that we there was a dinner party where we got to see Rainan's mom. Yeah. She's cooking mofongo. She's Dominican, obviously. And
do we know what mofongo is?
It's like a dish with green plantain.
Okay.
Mashed green plantain.
Okay.
So then Desmond shows up after Tio Tea does, and Rainen is shook. He's like, he doesn't know what's happening
Super
here.
shook. Like
And we also don't know what's happening. We don't know who set who up. Is something gonna happen to Rainen? Is something gonna happen to Desmond? But then we see this dinner table argument where Rainen pulls a knife on Desmond.
Right, a butter knife.
A butter knife. I thought it was.
I thought it was a knife too.
It was a little butter knife.
Sometimes I'm looking down writing notes, so I miss things. So one of the things, the biggest thing we were debating was Desmond just like trying Rainen's patience by saying, I like that he slept with his mom, or did they really sleep together? So I think, so you guys go first.
We think they slept together.
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
Yes.
Okay.
First of all, she honestly, his mother's reaction to a lot of things at first was odd to me, because I'm like, she is too calm in this. And then we learned that his mother was in the game, and then that she knows he's in the game. And I honestly, from an aunt standpoint, because I don't have kids, but I am so disappointed. Like, if you saw that your son was going down that path and you didn't want him to be down that path, so you claim, why are you letting him go down that path?
How can she stop him?
I mean,
Now, speaking from a man's perspective,
Yes.
I remember being 11 years old, telling my mom and dad that I hated school. My dad is a big dude.
Right.
Okay, so you taking a chance when you talk like that.
But you were willing to take that risk.
I was at that point, I decided at 11 years old, whatever consequence was going to be had, it was going to be had, because my opinion was more important. So if I'm 11 and I felt that way, now granted, I did well in school. My daddy is a big man. But Rainen now is what, 17, 18 years old? How can she physically stop him? And Tio Teo's not going to stop him, because he can use him to make money.
And then what Rainen is doing is bringing money probably to the home. They
Right.
lost the income that Sky was bringing in, you know, because you did notice she was still wearing her wedding ring. So it's not like, it didn't seem like she and Sky were like estranged or broken up. Like he
Right.
was still in
He was
that.
active, yeah.
Yeah, they still had some sort of relationship. And I think she can't also stop him, because it's like, how's she going to tell him not to do something that she did too?
Yeah, well, I look at that a different way, because there's some things that you do as a parent that you learn from, and so you try to teach your children differently.
Right.
So the whole interaction, to me, the calmness that she had, it was shocking in the beginning. After we found out, we were like, that's why she's so calm, because she saw it happening, and she made a reference to it. You're gone all day. You come back late at night.
She not dumb. She's just, I think she's just turning a blind eye.
right, because he didn't know that she knew. I mean, he didn't know that she was in the games.
Right. He didn't know that part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and then wait, the other question about Desmond.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Desmond purposely let Rainen know that they were messing around, because he made a reference a few episodes ago, and I wish Lucian were here tonight. Okay,
Lucian, you in
I
the
miss
chat?
you.
Where you at?
I
Where you
miss you,
at?
Lucian. But a few episodes ago, Desmond made a reference to Rainen. It was when they were in the apartment, right before the party, I believe. And Rainen was nervous because Desmond popped up. And he said something about, I know about your life, boy. Or I know where you live, boy.
Okay, the accent.
Whatever. Yeah, you know. He did whatever he said. And it let me know that Desmond knew that Rainen was not a true gangster. And so now, a few episodes later, full circle, Desmond is like, he walks in the house comfortably. I mean, Mama didn't have big eyes like, who is this? She was just like, come on, boy, get you something to eat.
And I'm thinking it's like, you know, this is her brother's friend, so she's familiar with him. That's why I thought she was.
She is familiar with him.
But I'm also thinking that's why it was so easy for Desmond to just kill Sky. Not to mention that he's crazy. But if you're having an affair or you're sleeping with Sky's wife, I mean, you like.
So did he eliminate the threat?
He basically did, and he doesn't like Rainen because he doesn't respect Sky.
So does the mom know that Desmond killed Sky?
I don't think they know that. I mean, I think it was news to Rainen that this relationship was happening, if it's happening. But also, why didn't they bring it up? Like, if you sleeping with a dude, like, why wasn't there just a couple of lines where Rainen called his mom out, like, Mom, how could you do this? You know what I'm saying?
Because he was too focused on Desmond. He's afraid of Desmond.
I don't know. That's the only thing that made me like. Was he just jabbing at him, or did it really happen? Also,
man.
Can we not have varied opinions here this evening?
No, I'm just saying.
Jesus.
You put me. I'm on here for the male's perspective.
Yeah, but
No, we can have different opinions.
I'm just like, it's just different. Is Rainen lying about the whole Desmond thing to save his own ass.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because David said we have to give Tio Tea
Yes.
somebody to focus on.
Right.
Yep.
I just
so-
wrote that down as a question when it just happened.
Yes. And Tio Tea, I feel like like he said, he can't kill Rainin or hurt Rainin because it's gonna hurt his sister.
Too much.
So Desmond was the only person that technically would have hurt Rainin, and they eliminated Desmond. Now they're still gonna make the money behind Tio Tea's
Tea.
back, but now we see that David. Again, he's the kingpin, and even Tio Tea said you need to kiss the ground
he's walking on.
But do we think Tio Tea believes Rainin? Because I don't think he does. I think he let Rainin think, oh yeah, you gonna turn it on this dude, because Rainin is lying. They are making more money. He revealed the prescription drug thing, but he blamed it on, said that Desmond was stealing the money. I think Tio Tea may still have it out for Rainin.
I think he believes him. I think he believes him, and he's gonna try to kill Desmond. But we do notice that David got some new clothes and shoes, like you said. So
I did. He had some. You saw his new kicks.
he ain't sweating David no more.
He didn't go to the swap meet.
Well, he took those new clothes and shoes over to his grandmama house, who was played by the beautiful Miss Leela Roshan.
Yes.
So we saw this difficult relationship between Miss Gloria and her mother, who was very religious, who we found out Miss Gloria was sexually abused by her own father.
Yep.
And her mom caught them and just turned a blind eye.
Now that's a blind eye.
I mean, I was like, what is this? The fact that we often hear these stories about very religious people kind of, saying, turning a blind eye and saying, like, kind of, God will fix this.
Right.
Why do you think they chose to bring that up in this episode? Like, use that perspective for the mom?
Well, I can't really speak for the mom per se, but I can say for Gloria, now we understand where her pain has come from and why she was addicted to drugs and the friendship that she did gain with Elijah. So now that we see that, we're in that standpoint, and I just feel like with a mother, it's so sad, but it often happens where you try to not think that happened, and she's blaming Gloria like you were tempting.
I think
you were tempting
woman to woman.
Yeah.
You see those relationships with mothers and daughters sometimes, and sometimes the mother wants to hold on to the man, and they think the daughter is the one tempting the man when that wasn't the case here.
Yes, because a kid knows what to do to tempt a grown man.
Right.
And
And then parents, I think it's also just speaking to the fact that when your children tell you something, believe them. And then look, so we have Gloria, who was an abused child, and then Saren, who was an abused child. And I think that duality is very interesting. The fact that she used, at that age, she blatantly told her mother, and her mother did not believe her. So maybe that's a reason, Saren didn't even try.
That's emotional. That's one of the aces that I discussed a few weeks ago. It's one of the emotional neglects. Your child confides in you, and she said it. She said, "You're the one person who's supposed to keep me safe."
Yep.
And the mother doesn't want to believe that her husband would do something like that.
But yet she believes her daughter would.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
But now that gets me to think that maybe Saren is in a similar situation, because we don't know if he didn't tell his mom. He could have told his mom this is happening. His mom was probably like, "Oh no, you're lying," and that's why she's overly affectionate with Ray. Maybe I don't know. This is my prediction.
That's
it's not a bad one though. It's a good one.
You never know. I also think it's very funny how the grandma and David are similar in a sense. Like, I see that the part of David that has to be structured and prim and proper reminded me of the grandma. You know what I'm saying? Like when she held him towards the end, when he said to Gloria, like, had you not, been with my father, your life would have been different. And it's like the grandma was like, baby, I totally agree. It's like they were on the same side in that moment. You know what I'm saying?
The difference is the grandmother lives in a state of denial. Right. But David is very forthright and forthcoming.
Right. But he has that ability to kind of be this conservative person. That's the person he puts out to people when he's trying to like play this role as this prim, proper person.
Can we talk about how he came out of character in front of Woodstrap?
Well, that was last week.
I know,
we
but
weren't here, and we got a limited time. But I do want to.
Well, I was going to bring it forth to this week.
No, because I want to get to the drugs, because that was the other area that we kind of differed on. So we saw David, Miss Gloria, she was going for a water bottle. We assume she's having her cycle. David hands her a pill. I saw the pill. I don't know if we saw him unravel a package, but we handed her a pill. I was like, maybe it's aspirin. And y'all were like, no, it's drugs. And then we see her like go into this slumber. And I was like, okay, aspirin didn't do that. Aspirin didn't do that.
It was drugs.
Why do we think he chose to do that to his mom?
Again, so what I see again is a correlation between Tio Tea and him having the conversation with Rain and saying it's your own people. And now we have David, who is giving his mom the very drugs that he was trying to avoid her from taking. I feel like he's thinking he's doing her a favor because he sees the stress upon her.
Right.
But now he might be starting something that he just can't very well finish. And again, he's been constantly jumping out of a child's place.
Yeah.
And she's been constantly telling him like, you need to
I'm
relax.
the adult here.
I am the adult.
Yeah, because if you've ever been in a situation where your parent is like the black sheep of the family and you see their own relatives, especially their mother, attack them as their child, you want to protect your parent and you want to make them feel better. And I think that's what David was trying to do by giving her this. We don't know if this is his first time hearing that his mother was sexually abused by her own father. Right. So that's hard for him. I think he just wants to make her feel better. He knows, like you said, she's under a lot of stress. She soothes herself with the candy that she hid in the back of the picture, and he tries to soothe her with what he had. So
okay.
I think that was tonight's episode. So let's quickly get into some of our special segments. We'll go into Skies High real quick.
Yo, what's up, everybody? So check it out. So Skies High has changed, although we haven't been able to execute it the past few weeks. We've had wonderful guests on the show. Skies High is the lesson that was learned due to everything that Sky taught. So there were 2 lessons learned in this episode. One was David, when he accused Rainin of not being able to take the beating or the castigating of Sky to him, and he went and called Tio Tea, and all of a sudden Sky's dead. So the lesson there is that what David learned from Sky was that you deal with your problems on your own time, your way. You don't run from them. You don't find anybody to come and fight those battles for you. But that also speaks to last week when I saw how David confronted Woodstrap. He fought his own battle. This week he's confronting his mother in a different type of way. He's fighting that battle as well. So David has proven himself to learn that lesson from Sky. The other one was Rainin learning the lesson that it doesn't matter what happened with his father, the Ville still loves his dad.
Yes.
The Ville still respects his dad, and they still carry those lessons with them. That was the other lesson that Sky taught them. Like, you stick to the love that you have, the support that you have. That's what's going to carry you through. So those are my renditions of Sky's High for this week.
I think also we learned that Sky's name is Scott.
Yeah.
And when
Scott.
we heard that, I was like, it made me think of him as a totally different person. Like, Sky is the hustler, the guy from the hood, but Scott is the guy that was married, that bought that beautiful home and ring for his family. So it made me think of that. Also, like you said with Rainin, I think he's working to emulate his dad, but he will never be Sky.
Right.
No.
And I think we learned too about friends. Like, friends can be your escape. They can be someone you go to lean on when David was having the conversation with his mom. He's like, that's why my name is Elijah. My middle name. We
That
learned
was
that.
so beautiful.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
David's middle name is Elijah.
Lord
because
is our God.
Yes.
And then we learned how Miss Elijah and Miss Gloria became friends. He helped her escape from this horrible home life she had. It did expose her to other things, but he did rescue her, and their friendship was so important.
In the song that was playing most of the show, Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child, which originally was quoted by Bessie Griffin, for those who may not know.
Thank you.
All right. But anyway, that song speaks so much, because if you think of what a motherless child would be like, you're out in the open, you don't have anybody to protect you, you're trying to navigate by yourself. Well, look at the whole episode. Everybody seems to start navigating alone with no type of guidance. It was just very important to have that song in this episode.
Yeah, Miss Gloria ain't got no mama. After she's like, I'm done with you after this.
Yeah, like, we out.
And
Shout
then,
outs.
Sorry, Willie Gregg's mama was she ain't got no child no more.
Yeah.
What were we gonna say, Zakia?
I was going to say shout out to the music producer, Jabari.
Yeah. That was beautiful. Next, we'll go into our predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV Predictions.
Josh, I'll start with you.
Okay, well, first things first. I think this storm that took place caused a greater storm, and I think that I think as far as Saren and David, I want to speak on that. Mm-hmm. I think David is going to give up the goods on Saren, but I don't know to who yet. I think he's going to tell somebody, like, not where Saren is, but that he's aware that Saren has left. And as far as Rainin, I think Rainin is in a world of trouble.
Child.
Desmond,
Rainin, you in danger.
Yeah, like if he doesn't get protection from Tio Tea, Desmond is going to find his way to Rainin, or Desmond is going to turn on Tio Tea and Rainin and hold the mom hostage. I see something like that. Desmond is determined. So
I like that. What are your thoughts?
I see the differently. I think the rain. I think after a big storm like this, there's always a calm. There's always rainbows. Stuff grow after this. So I see growth with our characters.
All right.
I see some hope and a little bit of light. So I'm hoping that everyone. This is it. We've revealed everything. We dug it all up. Let's plant those seeds and grow a new
second
harvest.
season.
Yes, grow a second season.
I think we're definitely going to see what's going on between Saren and Star, like the fact that they're still on the road together. And, you know, again, this idea that I have for this spinoff, I think is an amazing idea. I think it'd be great. But I think, you know, Saren's going to have the opportunity to just be more of himself while he's away. But I do agree. I think somebody's going to find out that... everything okay?
Someone said something in the chat that's important that it may answer my question.
Okay.
So JL O'Brien, who has been chatting the whole show, thank you, JL. If that's, I'm just call you JL. That's cool. I think the story about friends that Glow told Day is her way of telling Day that she knows he helped Saren escape.
Okay.
So maybe Gloria may be the one who David, you know, confides in.
Yeah, I think that definitely would happen. He's kind of this situation with learning about her past. It's definitely helped David respect her more and understand her more, because he's a smart kid, and she keeps saying that. And maybe that's why she also was like, you're smart. She knows, okay, you were smart enough to pull this off. So I'm still a little worried about JG, but I'm also worried about Shinobi. What's gonna happen to him, child? What's gonna happen? And then Desmond, child, you in danger too. But Rainin, you know, this whole lie is going to come back to them in the last episode of the David Makes Man Season 1 series. Guys, we would love to have a Season 2. We love this show so much. The fans love this show so much. So anything we can do to bring this back, we would love it. So, Zakia, where can they find you if they want to talk more David Makes Man?
Guys, if you want to talk to me, reach out to me on Instagram at ZakiaW_. Make sure you tune into Top Boy. I cover that on Sundays. And also tune into, I forgot what else I cover, but that's it.
Oh, you do American.
Yes, I do All American on Wednesday.
And Josh?
All right. Well, you can find me on social media at Cleverly Clad. And I do The Masked Singer Wednesdays at 7 p.m. And I'll start Legacies Season 2 tomorrow, Thursdays at 10 p.m.
Okay, and you can find me here next week on the David Makes Man After Show. My name is Sahai. You can find me on social media at Say Hi Sahai. Thank you guys again, and see you next week. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.